Jo, witam was bardzo serdecznie. Ja jestem PawiK, a to jest kolejny odcinek z naszej serii The Stanley Parable. Jest, dokładnie tak, ziomeczki. Co to jest za mną? Szafa. Dlatego, że nie jestem w domu, jestem u dziadków. Dlatego, że tutaj mieszkam. Kto ogląda poprzednie odcinki, ogólnie moje, to wie. Kto śledzi Facebooka, to wie. I tak dalej. Także jest spoko. Gramy w Stanleya. Standardowo już. Myślę, że standardowo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okej. Będziemy dzisiaj starać się zrobić te zakończenia, których jeszcze nie było. Nie wiem, czy to jest możliwe jeszcze, bo już sporo żeśmy tego Stanleya ograli, ale myślę, że coś jeszcze przed nami się kryje. No, jeszcze jednej rzeczy nie zrobiłem.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Czy teraz musimy iść w prawo, czy w lewo? Nie, teraz musimy w prawo iść. Bo jedno zakończenie mnie takie trochę dziwne mnie tutaj nurtuje. Muszę to sprawdzić. Dobra. Nie zatrzymuj się, Stanley. Nie, właśnie tutaj chcę iść do przodu. O, tak. Teraz patrzcie się, chcę zaskoczyć tam w dół. Ciekawe, czy zginę, czy coś się stanie.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Nie, jest ten typ, który to komentuje, jest taką maripostę zawsze. To jest niesamowite, ale tak już jest. Lecimy z powrotem, Stanley.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Okej. Tu mogę? Nie mogę. Wszystko jest pozamykane, kurde. Yo.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okej.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
idziemy na dół
office.
teraz. Teraz na dół. Ej. Dobra, tędy oczywiście.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Lol.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Ej, ta muzyka jest
And for that
przerażająca.
matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream.
Jak dziwnie ścięło, nie wiem o co chodzi.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually
Ej, tego chyba jeszcze nie było, nie
He
wiem.
wasn't going to lose his job.
Tego
He
zakończenia.
wasn't crazy after all.
Nie wiem.
And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon.
Ej, Skype'a nie widać, nie wiem czy mnie to widzicie, ale mi się Skype pojawia w okienku gry.
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and
Będę
began to
wchodził w
gently
kółko, nie,
float
idę
above
do
the
tyłu.
ground.
Aha.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Ty, kurde, to też jest dziwne.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course...
Nie, to nie ma sensu tak chodzić, postoję.
How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
And what? To samo co było, come on.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh yeah. I co teraz?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Co?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Lel, czy to jest Stanley?
Although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
A Stanley? Aha, to już koniec, tak? A. No nie, no. Nie, to jest bez sensu, tej gry się nie da przejść. Ale to ostatnie zakończenie było niesamowite, jedno z najciekawszych chyba w tej grze, jakie kiedykolwiek odkryłem, tak mi się wydaje przynajmniej. No bo było fajne, tak? Było fajne, podobało mi się. Tymczasem ziomyczki, ziomale. Myślę, że to wszystko miały być po 2 zakończenia na odcinek i były. W pierwszym zakończeniu spadłem z platformy. Okej, to też jest jakieś zakończenie, może nie takie jakieś super widowiskowe, ale jakie zakończenie to jest. W drugim zakończeniu to była Mariella. Poczułem się przez chwilę jak kobieta. Jestem kobietą. Można. Dobra, ziomeczki, więc w tym momencie ja chcę zakończyć ten odcinek. Muszę się z tym przespać, bo nie wiem kompletnie o co chodzi w tej grze. Tego nie da się zakończyć, tego nie da się wyjaśnić, nic się nie da z tym zrobić. To jest Stanley Parable, a ja jestem PawiK. Po co ty to mówisz? Przecież wszyscy to wiedzą. Come on! I ja wam dziękuję z całego serca, że jesteście przy mnie. Dziękuję. Mam coś tutaj. Nie wiem, czy ktoś zauważył. Nie wiem, czy to widać. Mam tylko jeden monitor. Nie jestem u siebie w domu. Nie mam 2 monitorów. Mam tylko jeden monitor i nie widzę siebie, więc teraz to jest bardzo głupie uczucie. Ale mam coś tutaj. Nie wiem, czy ktoś to zauważył. Taka koszuleczka. Na razie nic wam nie powiem. Ale możecie się spodziewać tego już niebawem. Także ja wam dziękuję. I widzimy się w kolejnym odcinku z kolejnej niesamowitej gry. Na razie. Pa, pa. Teraz kulturalnie się zachowam. I podniosę rączkę, pomacham. Cześć.
Stanley stood for a long time in one spot. It's part of a game.
Co?
He likes to see how long he can go without
Lol,
dying.
ej.
So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that
Ej, ten gościu
good
zawsze musi
momentum.
demotywować.
Let's observe
Zawsze musi
the
coś
genius
powiedzieć
of
takiego
work.
chamskiego. Będę tak stał przez 5 godzin. Oczywiście, że będę tak stał. Co ja nie będę tak stał? Oczywiście, że będę tak stał. Lel. No i gówno. Nic się nie dzieje, kompletnie nic, tylko zegarek sobie tyka. I tak tyka, i tyka, i tyka. To jest bez sensu, ta gra jest bez sensu, nie wiem kompletnie o co chodzi. Także wracając do mojego pożegnania. Dziękuję, że oglądasz ten odcinek. Pozdrawiam. Na razie. Pa, pa. Cześć.